Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Harry and Karen's family, I want to thank you for being here today to celebrate the life of Lonnie Joelle Fehr. As a community today, we want to bring honor to Lonnie. We'll celebrate her life, even as we grieve how it was cut so short. Today we remember Lonnie and we celebrate her life in all of the ways that her story intersected with all of ours. We'll share memories of Lonnie, and we'll tell stories of her impact in our lives. And just by being here this afternoon, whether in person or online, you are part of honoring her memory. Today we want to bring comfort to Lonnie's family, the people that she loved the most. To Harry and to Karen, to Jared, Chad, and his boys. Most of us cannot fully begin to imagine everything that you're feeling and everything that you're going through. And we hope that today you'd see this strong show of support as a sign of our solidarity with you and a promise to continue to journey and walk alongside you as a community. Today we also want to bring glory to Jesus. No matter how tragic the circumstance, no matter the questions we have, no matter the doubts that we share, today is a day to acknowledge that God is our refuge and our strength, our firm foundation. He is present in help. He is present in times of trouble. Psalm 46 says it like this: God is our refuge and our strength, an ever-present help in times of trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. God is within her, and she will not fail. God will help her at break of day. Nations are in uproar, kingdoms fall. He lifts his voice and the earth melts. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come and see what the Lord has done, the desolations he has brought on the earth. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire. He says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations, and I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress." Would you join me in prayer? Almighty and everlasting God, in this moment of deep grief, we come with questions, asking why this had to happen, and asking how. How do we possibly get through it? All we have, God, is to turn to you. Thank you for being with us in this time of sorrow. You knew Lonnie through and through. You loved her from the moment she was conceived. You were with her on the day of her birth, and you were with her on the day of her death. You gave Lonnie life, a wonderful family that she loved deeply, and who in turn loved her. You walked with them in good times and hard times. And we believe that today, Lonnie is happy and surrounded by your love, reunited with loved ones who have gone before. Be with us, God, in our tears, in our aching hearts, in the smiles that memories bring. As we grieve and remember Lonnie, you, God, who have conquered the mystery of death, be with us now. Amen. I would invite you to join us as we sing together the song, "You Are Holy." The songs that we're singing today were some favorites of Lonnie's. And this particular one she learned to love as she went to Michael W. Smith's concerts with Karen. And so I would invite you as a congregation to stand and join as we sing together. The words will be on the screen. This afternoon, we are going to experience and gain insight to hear beautiful snapshots and pictures of who Lonnie was. And so we'll start with obituary, life stories, followed by tributes and special music and more tributes, all painting a picture of Lonnie. And so I would invite you, when it's your turn, to come forward.
First off, thank each and every one of you for coming out here. Your support means everything to us. For anyone that doesn't know, I'm Jared. I'm Lonnie's oldest brother. And once again, just thanks for coming to celebrate her life. Today we celebrate the life of Lonnie Fehr, daughter to Harry and Karen, sister to Jared and Chad, auntie to Tanner and Shay. Words can't describe how we felt when receiving the tragic news of Lonnie's passing on Tuesday, April 11th in Edmonton, Alberta. Such a short life of only 35 years old, but oh how she lived it. You all know her as Lons, Di, Looney Tunes. She lived such a happy, full life. She was definitely a lover of life. She had such an infectious, crazy, wonderful effect on people. There was never a dull moment when she was around, never lacking in energy when determined to do something. Lonnie's life consisted of a variety of things, and she always loved to be a part of all of them. In her youngest years, she was an incredible gymnast. She loved playing baseball all her life, loved to always be the center of attention, was a gifted healthcare aide, furthered her to become a nurse for many years. Oh, how she enjoyed music. Candles, purses, anything that glittered. And oh, did she love clothes, jewelry, shoes, makeup, candles, purses, and the list goes on. She was all about the glam and the glitz. Her heart was huge. She had such a beautiful way of drawing people in, making them feel so special, cared for, loved, always accepting them for who they were, and she was always so non-judgmental.
We know Lonnie loved Jesus in spite of her struggles these past years. We know and have heard that she never quit speaking to Jesus to everyone she met. We could never have asked for a better sister, auntie, niece, or friend. Oh, how she loved her nephews. I can still hear you say their names. Tanner and little Che-Che, they were her world, and when she was around, they loved her as much. She devoted 100% attention to them when she was with them. Lonnie also loved animals, all animals. Lonnie had a beautiful cat, Mercedes, who was with her for 10 years. Then 3 years ago, Georgie, her dog, joined the fam. She always said these animals were her children. Due to circumstances, Mercedes had found a new forever home just a month ago. Lonnie was so happy about her new owner. Her pride and joy was now her little Georgie. This dog has been Lonnie's saving grace for the last few years. We all love her, such a beautiful reminder of our Lonnie. Words can't express how much we appreciate the fact that most of you are here and have had a part in Lonnie's life. Thank you all so much for coming. We can't wait to hear more of our Lonnie through your words and our stories today. And as Lonnie was always say, let the party begin. Let's celebrate. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome here. And most of you know that in her later years, Lonnie was famous for being late. And we're happy to say today she's not late. She is here and present with us. Our purpose today is to honor Lonnie and our God. The only thing that has carried us through this very difficult time is the overwhelming support of your love and prayers from our very special family, friends, and even from friends we didn't know we had. Lonnie touched so many people's lives in different ways. Oh man, I could tell so many stories. Her last 5 years were her biggest struggles as she dealt with anxiety and depression. It was also during this time that she renewed her love for Jesus, and she clung to him. The reminders of his care are everywhere. She loved journaling, and in the last while I read of her faith story so evident in her life. So many people we've talked to have affirmed her love of God. She loved her family dearly, always ending our conversations by saying, "I love you all and miss you so much." She just wanted to be loved and accepted. One of her most recent extended trips home, Lonnie helped me with the inventory count at Sun Valley Tire. She felt so privileged to do this. And Lonnie caught on so quick with the different numbers and sizes. But true to Lonnie's personality, she said to me, "Dad, can I have a Sun Valley Tire hoodie and shirt so I feel like I'm part of the team?" And I said, "Sure, you can." So she would say to me in the morning, "Oh yeah, rockin' Sun Valley Tire." On her occasional visits home, she often came upstairs and said, "Dad, can I read you today's devotional?" And then we would talk about it, and how I miss those very special moments. Lonnie loved her friends, family, and she had a very special bond with her brothers. Her friend circle was as diverse as she was, but some of her earlier friendships were her fondest ones. There is so much more to our daughter than I will be able to tell you in this short time, but some of her friends will share some memories so that you can get a glimpse into her life. Our daughter would be so honored with your presence here or online viewers today. Thank you, everyone, our family, our friends, our church family. I would personally like to acknowledge a few people in the last few years of her life that were very important to her. Her psychiatrist, Dr. Larry Clausen, her AFM counselor, Stacy, and her pharmacist, Zaid Ziri, at Shoppers, never passing judgment when she would be picking up her Suboxone or other prescription medications that she was on. And lastly, our pastor, who took the time to get to know who Lonnie was. So many others that I just can't mention them all. And like I said, Lonnie had many devotional books that seemed to follow her around everywhere. And so one of the few things she didn't lose over the course of the years of all her different locations. And so this is one of her devotions that she had, and it was the last bookmark devotional she had. And there's a lot of key verses that are, or words that are underlined in here. So I know it's one of the last ones that she read, and I'll read it to you. "You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. I don't expect perfection in this pursuit. It's not about that at all. It is the effort itself that pleases me. When you keep on seeking me, even though it is so difficult, actually the intensity of this challenging search blesses you. As you strive to find me in your moments, your focus is on me. While you trudge toward me through countless distractions, your awareness of me increases. Even if you don't feel close to me, you find yourself communicating with me. So there is a sense in which your efforts to find me are self-fulfilling. I am richly present in your striving. As a result, you feel more alive, more awake, and real. When you are actively pursuing me, your willingness to pour yourself into this glorious quest delights my heart. This joyful journey is all about perseverance. As long as you continue seeking me, you are on the right path. Moreover, your success is certain. I will be found."
I'm sure many of the things that I've said you will have already heard, but I have to share them as well. First of all, thank you all for coming today to honor our beautiful daughter, to celebrate her life with us. Thank you, Lord, for this. Lonnie feels all of your love here today. She would want to party and would have loved to have leave each one of you with a huge goodie bag full of all of her party favorites. Candles, essential oils, incense sticks, stones, jewelry, soft fuzzy blankets, makeup, bubble bath, bath bombs, red Solo cups, bottle of champagne, Thermia gift certificates, stuffies, foam rollers, jade rollers, sparkly angel dust, which we have on her urn, her Devo books, and of course, chocolate. Where to begin? How can a mother share her final goodbyes or her final thoughts at her child's funeral? Or as Jared corrected me earlier this week, Mom, it's no funeral, it's Lonnie's celebration of life. Indeed, a celebration of her life filled with amazing memories. The celebration began on February 7th, 1988, the day that Lonnie was born. Cute as a button, our little angel weighing in at 6 pounds, 14 ounces. My sibs all said, "You've got your $1 million family now," with Jared being the older brother. But our family was not complete until 2.5 years later when Chad joined us. Then I could say we had our $1 million family. So let's celebrate that Lonnie has always loved to be in the limelight, center of attention, never was shy, loving pretty things. At an earlier age, it was already all about glam and glitz. We just loved and were so proud of how she always was around people. She just had such a way. She just loved on all, making everyone feel so special. Let's celebrate Lonnie's friends. So many of them, so many of you. Her early years of her life were playing with Robbie Banman in the hood of Plum Coulee, as Elliot said to us last week in his condolences. Very quickly, her cousin Jazzy, Julie, Kristen, Michelle, Samantha, Trista, Caitlin, Stacy were constants in our homes. So many Spice Girls songs being belted out from our basement. So many dress-ups, so much dancing, so many face paints, so many, many, many gymnastics routines. Never a dull moment. So many memorable trips to the Bronze Farm, to Stacy's Endless Kittens, Danae and Stefan's farm in Niverville, with Em and Ken always having an abundance of dogs, chickens, kittens, and more kittens. Danae and Lonnie even like to paint these kittens with makeup. So many wonderful morning coffees with all of my girlfriends in our earlier years in our homes and our households full of kids. Such a highlight every week for our families. These mornings only leading to afternoon excursions to the Altona Winkler Pool, Chuck E. Cheese, Fun Mountain, which included the older siblings then, the Remps, Carol and Andrew, Mervyn, Gale, Ray and Deb, the Ports, the Heinrichses, the Wheelers, the Hildebrands, the Brons, Randy and Joe, Rick and Dorothy. Never a dull moment with all these beautiful friends. Mr. and Mrs. Ed Hebert were our kids' adopted grandparents, living next door to them in Plum Coulee for many years. Such a beautiful couple who just loved on us and our kids. She sold so many sweatsuits, such cute dresses for Lonnie, and then all her delicious baking, and Mr. Hebert's amazing woodwork. They were just such wonderful people. Let's celebrate Lonnie's love of sports. As it was mentioned earlier, she was a very talented gymnast. Her early gymnastic years began in Plum Coulee, then leading to the Morden Magic Club. For a short time, we had to live in Plum Coulee apartments when we were building our new home, and it didn't take long to become attached at the hip with the neighbors living next door to these apartments, the Reimers, Wayne and Susie, Leslie and Colton. Man, we love you guys. You are our besties for years and years. Lonnie and Leslie were such a dynamic team in gymnastics. They just rocked. So many wonderful competitions. Yes, they were part of the Morden Magic Club, but I couldn't help but shout out at a competition, you Coulee girls just rock," only to be reprimanded later for this. Our boys played hockey together, and Lonnie was even part of a hockey team one year with Chad and Colton because they were short of players. Lonnie loved baseball, which she played in Coulee, high school at GVC, and slow pitch in Winnipeg. One of the names of her teams in Winnipeg was Lovin' the Glove. So let's celebrate Lonnie's love of camping. Many camping trips from young up with Coulee friends and family. So many trips to Birds Hill, Cavalier, Walhalla, Spruce Woods, Grand Beach, St. Malo, Rushing River, Jasper and Banff. and now these last years at our seasonal campsite at Sunset Oaks. She loved the outdoors. Oh, how she loved the birds. She loved our yearly fam jams at St. Malo, Wild Oaks, and later now in Landmark. So much fun and so many beautiful memories. Let's celebrate Lonnie being part of my ladies' fellowship group of 38 years in Cooley. So many amazing, wonderful mother-daughter retreats, get-togethers at the Cooley Church. Lonnie's bright spirit and positiveness shone around these beautiful women and their daughters. Oh, how I thank this group of prayer warriors on behalf of her daughter's life. So many, many years of prayers being said for her. Now we got to celebrate Lonnie's life in Winkler. In 2002, we moved to Winkler only to gain many, many more amazing friendships. High school life was so huge for Lonnie. Our home became a revolving door for Julia, Kendra, Alex, Rhonda, Shayna, Kevin, Jesse, Justin, and on and on. Trips to France, Banff, band and choir, school dances, sports, so many parties, such incredible memories. How our daughter's life was molded and shaped by these beautiful friends. Lonnie, like we said, always had such a beautiful way of drawing people in and making everyone feel so worthy and so special. Just such an amazing quality of hers. So let's celebrate Lonnie's life now after high school, becoming a healthcare aide, furthering her to become a nurse. Such a God-given gift, caring for people. Her condo life on Carla. Here were new friends, Ruth, the twins, Kylie, Darren and Samara, Chad, Wade, Francois, Ellen, Abby, Brent, Alex and her gang, Robin Patches, Allie, Lorena, Miriam, Matt, the slow pitch games, her music festivals, Red Lake Falls. Oh, these were all such awesome times for her. Now we need to celebrate Lonnie's family, celebrate Lonnie with family. Auntie Diane and Uncle Jason were our neighbors in Plum Coulee. How Lonnie and Jazzy played and played. Jazzy was always Lonnie's sister she never had. Jazzy, she just loved you, and oh, how she loved your Ariel and Max. These kids, I remember last summer Lonnie hadn't been home for a while, and we went over there, and oh, we come in the house, and Max just runs up to Lonnie and throws his arms around her and says, oh, I've just missed you so much, Auntie Lonnie, I love you. And then immediately these kids, come downstairs to our rooms, we want to show you what we have. And Lonnie was just down there, and oh, it was just such a beautiful memory for me. And then there was Ginny and Amber. They were the best babysitters ever. These girls were golden. Oh, how our kids loved them as sitters. They just played and played and played with them. Jared and Kyle were besties in their younger years. Our family cherished the Dick family, living so close, and now again living so close on Poplar Bay. But let's celebrate. We can't forget those beautiful grandmas of Lonnie's. Grandma Schrader was such a prayer warrior for Lonnie, and in my mom's last few months in the hospital, Lonnie's nursing skills always kicked in when she came to visit Mom. And then there's Grandma Lone, the blanket queen whom Lonnie just adored. Granny always loving on her, praying always and always, never judging Lonnie. Mom Loan just passed away in December, and like Diane said when we first heard about Lonnie's passing, she said, Mom would have just said up in heaven, Lonnie, what are you doing here already? Like just in total. So let's celebrate now how it never took my siblings long to fall in love with little Lonnie. She loved on them as well, playing with Amy and Mitchell and Garrett. How my sibs always made her feel so special and loved. She just loved all the attention that she received from them as well. All of our camping trips together, trips out west, oh, we got to all just love those mountains. Such fantastic times. She just loved them all so dearly. Now we need to celebrate her brothers, Jared and Chad. Oh, how she loved her brother, Jared, aka they always called each other Di, short for diarrhea. And Chatty Waddy, these boys were her life. They were her besties who would all do anything for each other. They had each other's backs. It was always such a fun-filled, crazy household with so many activities. Back in the day, we had Cassie, we had Mojo, we had Nikki. They all were parts of our lives as animals. We always tried to live by the motto, WWJD, and we tried to always treat people the way we wanted to be treated. And then came the celebration, the big day, the day that Lonnie hit the jackpot, become an auntie to Tanner and later to Che. Oh, these boys were her all. She devoted 100% of her time with them when she was with them, sharing her stuffies, stones, playing with them and loving. They were her life when she came home. Oh, how she missed them when she lived out west. Lonnie always said she had her own children as well, Mercedes and her dog, Georgie. Tanner so badly wanted to always play with Sades, but only discovered at an earlier age that he was allergic to cats, so he had to keep his distance. But he spent hours chasing and teasing and giving Georgie lots and lots of treats. Che just loved the doggy kisses from Georgie. Such cute giggles coming from them. And then when Tanner heard of Lonnie's passing 2 weeks ago, he drew this beautiful picture. I know it's in one of the frames up front here. He drew this beautiful big heart just saying, I love you and I miss you. And then he said to his dad, Chad, I want to mail this to heaven. And now we just found out that a star in the constellations has been restricted and or reserved and registered in memory of Lonnie. That would just be so Lonnie knowing that there's a star up in the sky for her. So thank you, Lasha, for doing this. And this amazing urn was made by Jared. I'm sure that was a lot of tears for him, but he made it, and we just love it so much. So we got to celebrate again these beautiful fur babies who gave Lonnie so much love and attention, Mercedes and Georgie. They filled so many of her hours. Do you have a Kleenex for me? Not gonna lie, we know that Georgie basically was Lonnie's saving grace for the last 5 years. This dog has kept her alive. So let's celebrate Lonnie's life now during her health challenges. At an early age, Lonnie came down with the kidney disease, which she basically battled for 25 years, finally outgrowing this in her late 20s. So there was many trips to Children's Hospital, seeing 3 incredible doctors there in her younger years, Dr. Ogburn, Grimm, and Lamb, as well as Dr. Don Clausen here, Dr. Reinicke, and as Harry said later, Dr. Larry Clausen and Stacy. As tough as these relapses were always on her body and mind, these gifted physicians always left us with hope after every appointment, knowing that things were going to be okay. Prednisone seemed to be a miracle drug that always kicked her kidneys back to normalcy, but it was so tough on her body and her mind. Oh, how I think back of the many celebration parties we had at home as a family once her protein level count leveled out, and she would say, "No more bubbles, Mummy, in my pee." That was a common rejoicing phrase after overcoming another relapse, and then, man, did we party by eating salt and pop and chips and pizza over and over again, just to celebrate another positive turn in her health. In all honesty, Lonnie's life seemed to take a turn after moving to Winnipeg after high school. That's when her struggles really began. It was great, but they began. Working day and night shifts in the hospital was so hard on her body and mind, and that's when the anxiety and depression crept into her life, playing havoc on her mind and body. Her life became very challenging. Relationships became sour. Work became hard. So many difficult obstacles and choices to overcome. Did our daughter give up? Never. She persevered as best as she could. Lonnie eventually moved out to BC and then later to Edmonton, loving the mountains and rivers and nature walks. These beautiful creation reminders, they just filled her with so much hope that God was always on her side, that he was never leaving her, that he was always loving her. We celebrated with her whenever she shared these God moments with us, knowing that God had her. Oh, how we daily had to let go and release her to God to protect and guide her thoughts and ways. How we just pleaded and pleaded for him to send angels of protection over and over again. And some of these angels I just have to mention. In Kelowna, there was Rachel, there was Sylvie, there was Steve, there was Winston, and their horses. I'll never forget the first time Lonnie, she was in the farm next door where she was working, and she had taken Georgie for a walk, and she phones me. She says, "Mom, you're not going to believe what I am just seeing here." And she had this videotape of all these beautiful horses just coming at her. Those horses were unbelievable. Another person in Kelowna, Jeff Charlish. Then in Edmonton, Holly and Cassidy, who is now desperately trying to stay clean. He's trying to get into rehab now after Lonnie's passing. Oh man, Cassidy, stay strong. You can do it. And also Kumi and her sweet boys, Kason and Miles, whom Lonnie just loved. And lastly, her roommate, Mia, who understood Lonnie's mind. Let's celebrate that Lonnie never gave up on her faith. She loved Jesus. We've learned over the weeks that while she lived in BC and now in Edmonton, in spite of where her mind was at, she spoke Jesus to people daily, sharing her devotions and words of encouragement to all. All Lonnie ever wanted was to be loved and cared for and accepted for who she was then and now. She had such a beautiful way with people, making them feel so special no matter what her circumstances were or how difficult life was for her. She still tried to offer hope and peace and love to all around her, never passing judgment on anyone. Today we need to celebrate how so many of you here played an important part in Lonnie's life. Many, 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 many of you praying for her all her life, and especially these last 5 years of her life. Prayers that were said by our kids, our families, our friends, our camping friends, our church family, ladies' fellowship, co-workers, her friends, her co-workers, and so many unknowns. God placed her on your minds and hearts over and over again, and we are so eternally grateful for this. Did Lonnie ever think that she would breathe her last breath on April 11th, dying to an overdose? No. But so many people now are dying daily of overdoses. It's the most gut-wrenching things, and I can't imagine these parents and these families having to go through what we're going through. It just breaks my heart. So we can only ask now that we all continue to honor her life. If you're living a life of addiction, mental illness, please, please seek help. It is out there. Have your family help you if they want. Don't give in to those inner voices and demons. Just please get help. People, let's quit pointing fingers. Let's quit judging. Let's just keep accepting and caring and loving. People, let's just lay down our stones. None of us are perfect. Today with joy we celebrate, and we know that Lonnie is sitting at the feet of Jesus. Oh man, I can just see her sitting there talking his ear off, just saying, I gotta go, Lonnie, there's someone else I need to help. Just spreading her radiant smile to everyone. Heaven received our daughter way too early. But, we're, in spite of this sadness, we're just so thankful in knowing that there's no more struggles for her. Lonnie always had a love for music, and she is dancing with Jesus. She always said she wanted me to sing at her wedding, and I wanted to take her to New York and Las Vegas and all these things. A few years ago, she loved to sing this song, Shallow, by Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, and she said to me, Mom, we need to sing this song together like a duet. And I looked at her and I said, well, I'd actually prefer to sing it with Bradley instead of you, but she just laughed and said, oh yeah, me too, baby. So Lonnie, Looney Tunes, no wedding song, but I'm going to try to honor you with this one last song. This was the first song that Lonnie ever sang in church when she was a little kid with Julie. So once again, Jason, if you want to come up, we want to thank you again all for coming. May you all be blessed for being such a huge part in our daughter's life. Thanks be to God. Okay. You guys are going to do your tribute, right? As the deer pants for the water, so my soul longs after you. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you. You alone are my strength, my shield. To you alone may my spirit yield. You alone are my heart's desire. much more than anything. You alone are my strength, my shield. To you alone may my spirit yield. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you. I want you more than gold or silver, only you can satisfy. You alone are the real joy giver and the apple of my eye. You alone are my strength, my shield. To you alone may my spirit yield. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you. Chad and Jer are going to come up. I know they both had some more things that they wanted to share, correct? You can all say goodbye to Georgie. She's going to the car now.
Lonnie, my dear sister, I miss you, and I can hear you telling me, be strong, chitty. These past 2 weeks were a time of reflection, remembering all of the beautiful memories we created together. Our bond as brother and sister was unbreakable for over many, many years, and you were the one to always keep us together. The impact you've had on my life is something I'll be forever grateful for. Always wanting what was best for me, pushing me forward with a winning focus and a positive mentality. That was something Lonnie always had too. A positive spirit, love for all, and a love for winning. I think she's more competitive than me. Hey, Lon? Seeing you with my two beautiful boys, Tanner and Che, always brought a smile to my face. The love you had for them was so astounding. When you were around them, they were your world, and the love resonated. I can still hear your voice. Hi, Che. Tan Man, TK, Tanner. You know the mischief Tanner always loves to get up to, and you're always there to support him and guide him in those moments when you're together. Darn, I'll miss it. They will miss you, Lonnie, and they will honor your spirit. As much as the last few years had its challenges, every time we were together, it was like time was not lost. We would stay up late talking about our lives, the ups, the downs, the good times, the bad. I wish you were here to see true happiness. A few memories that I wanted to share that really have stuck out to me, just thinking about over the last couple weeks. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on, but the Cooley days, Center Street shenanigans, running through Manty's garden, finding kittens behind Mom's work and taking them home. You and Jared putting me in the rocket, or that's how you guys described it, only to pick on me a little bit and send me to space with the double bounce. How did I not break any bones? I still don't know. Spending time with all of our family friends. There's so many to name, but I know many of you are here, and we'll never forget those memories. Honestly, thank you. Countless bike rides, setting up a tent in the backyard to camp, playing dress up on me. Lots of hockey games, lots of baseball, basketball, gymnastics. So many good times. Camping at St. Malo every summer, us riding in the back of Dad's truck with the shell on. Camping at Rushing River in the summer with our large family group. You at my hockey games, me at your gymnastic competitions. Living together at the Penty, and you always taking care of Wader and I. Parties together in the summer, so many times. She always rocked that booty box. Yes, buddy. Softball in the summers, pool parties at Rick and Carrie's. Still picture you making that leap into the pool. Our final years together when you'd come visit and stay with us at Concordia. Lasher bought me a jade roller, and Lonnie, every time I use it, I will think of you. You loved caring for me with that thing. It wouldn't allow me to say no because you knew how at peace I would be when I finally would give in and say, okay, fine, Lonnie. I love you, Lonnie. For anyone who has a brother or sister, no matter what they're going through, call them and tell them you love them. Hug them, hold them. We'll get her. Thank you.
Oh, this is a full circle moment right here. First time I sang in church was with Lonnie, and she has such an encouraging spirit that whenever you're with her, she just gives you 110% of herself, of her energy, of everything, her love and compassion. And whenever, if I would have excuses, I can't do this, or I'm not good at this, or I can't, she would always be the one that said, yes, you can, just do it, and give me a push. And so part of the reason that I'm, up here right now would be that encouraging spirit that she had, that it always encouraged me in our music together, in writing songs together, in just being silly and having fun and enjoying life together. So this song here is just is a special song that she enjoyed in these past few years, and she's just a lover of music, and with the variety of people and friends that entered her life that she loved upon, and it just goes to show how much of a positive impact she had on the people around her. And I think we can take that lesson and help it impact us in the way that we live our lives as well. So hopefully I can get through this. Even now, I have my own excuses of why, coming up here is hard, but I know Lonnie's there giving me a push up on the stage. I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I more than just the sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. Oh, you say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I'm strong when I think I'm weak. You say I'm held when I'm falling short, when don't belong. You say I am yours, and I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe the only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth, in you I find my identity. Oh, you say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I'm weak. You say I'm held when I'm falling short, when I don't belong. You say I am yours, and I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe. Taking all I have here now, I'm laying it at your feet. You have every failure, God. You'll have every victory. Oh, you say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I'm strong when I think I'm weak. You say I'm held when I'm falling short, when I don't belong. You say I am yours, and I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. Oh, I believe, oh, I believe, I believe, oh, I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. Oh, and I believe.
Hello, everyone. I first have something written by my sister, Ginny, who asked me to read for her today as she is in BC. Lonnie was like an extra little sister to me. I spent so many hours babysitting her and Jared and Chad. Time spent playing games, walks to play at the school or park, playing Barbies, making crafts, watching her grow and mature. It was a proud moment to me to learn of her becoming a nurse, and I treasure that we could share our home with her in Portage la Prairie when she was working at that hospital. I am especially grateful that God granted me an incredible gift without me knowing at the time. After we said goodbye to our grandmother, she asked if I would drive with her from Winkler to Edmonton in her new car. We spent that time talking a bit in some companionable quiet, reconnecting and relearning each other as adults. I will cherish memories of her and will continue to pray for her loved ones she leaves behind, especially her parents, Harry and Karen, and her brothers. We will always miss you, Lonnie, your sense of humor, generosity, playful nature, and kind heart. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jasmine. Lonnie and I were first cousins, but it really felt like we were more like sisters growing up. The one row of houses often felt too far apart, resulting in countless sleepovers. I don't remember life without you. I think my earliest memory of you, I was about 4 or 5, and you got your hair cut short, and I remember so clearly the exact outfit you were wearing, and I just refused to believe it was you, and for some reason I was really mad at you. I don't know why. But we would do almost anything to spend all of our time together. I remember getting ready for bed, usually at your house, We would crawl into your bed, and we would just sit there squeezing our eyes so tight, thinking we fooled your parents, and so we could spend all day and night together. And then we'd get up and often even go to school together. You were such a big part of my childhood. We were inseparable. You taught me how to do a back handspring using a slip from your dress-up box as a belt to spot me. I also don't know how I didn't break anything. We would rent 10 movies for 10 days for $10. We watched a lot of movies. And we'd usually eat Uncle Harry's Doritos and have Pepsi before bed. And I would always finish mine, but she would always leave a little bit left over. And every morning she would wake up and drink that flat, warm Pepsi. And it grossed me out so much, but every time she would do that. We would walk to school together every single day, or we would switch spots with Kyle, so Kyle could be with the boys and Lonnie could be with me, and we'd take that long drive to Austin to see Grandma. We collected Spice Girl stickers from the gum, and we would stick it to her nightstand, and I'm pretty sure Chad inherited that nightstand. I remember seeing it in his room in Winkler. But our parents put up with all of our shenanigans. We even forced them to partake in us playing restaurant in our early teen years. I remember at your house, Auntie Karen, and you would just put up with it. But our families felt so blended growing up. I think anyone who knows you or even met you realized how outgoing and friendly you were. But what they don't know is you were the same way growing up, except for making phone calls, which I would have to do for you. Even though I'm a lot more introverted, I would have to do those phone calls, and sometimes you would call during lunch, Auntie Karen, and I remember fooling even you. So, if we'd go anywhere together later on with your car, you would just hop into the passenger seat and you'd be choosing on the music and I would be the driver. The furthest we drove was to Rushing River, where we met your family camping, and that's really what sparked the love of camping, you taking me along on your countless trips. And I often think of Grandma as well because she loved camping. So later on, when I was going into grade 8 and Lonnie going into grade 9, we received devastating news that her family decided to move to Winkler. However, things worked out in our favor. Your parents bought a house in Poplar Bay where my grandma's empty house sat, and I was able to convince my family to move to Winkler, so we are once again down the street from each other. But it still felt too far, and I'm very certain that I stayed that first night at your house when you moved in. So thank you, Mom and Dad, Auntie Karen, Uncle Harry, for always letting us have that time together. Growing up, you were so strong, even struggling with your health conditions. You were so happy and cheerful, and your goal in life was to give back. You wanted to be a nurse and give others a good experience like you had as a kid, and I don't doubt that every patient felt like they were your favorite. Sometimes I did get to go to your Winnipeg appointments, and I loved going because it meant more time together. And I think about it, it's like our parents each had an extra kid. We were just so connected growing up. You always made time for your little sister, even though we had different friends. Even when I lived in Winnipeg, you would come and see me, we'd spend the weekend together, and even at one point you tried so hard to convince me to work with you at KFC, but I was too scared, so I didn't do it. And I think it's probably for the best that we didn't end up working together anyway. We did have our moments or fights. You weren't always the most gracious loser when we'd play board games. Our favorite was Full House, but you didn't stay upset at me for long if I would win. But one thing I do every day that brings me back is look at my Facebook memories every morning. There's so many statuses that I see writing about you and the things that we would be doing. And the day that she passed, the memory on my Facebook that morning was that Lonnie and I were having a sleepover and then going to Grandma's for lunch. Reading those will be a little bit harder now. But there are just so many memories which I'll forever hold dear to my heart, and I'm just sad we won't be able to make any more together. But I know you found peace, and I will forever be thankful for our families being so close and letting us have so much time together. Thank you.
A group of us girlfriends got together to reminisce and remember Lonnie together the other night. What do we say to truly capture the laughing until we peed our pants moments? How do you explain in words the essence of our Lonnie? Lonnie, Lon Bon, Lon, Lanny, Lan, LeBeau, Margaret, Marg. Oh, the nicknames we had for one another. Lon was the queen of nicknames. Her and Alex had a way of creating nicknames that just stuck, whether the other person wanted it or not. Berta. The nickname process was always full of laughs and memories of the moment that created that nickname. I think I started getting wrinkles in high school already due to all the laugh lines and expressions of surprise that were permanently on my face from Lonbon. I owe 90% of my laughs to her throughout our friendship. I met LeBeau when I was in grade 10 and she was in grade 9. Alex, Julia, Kendra, and myself quickly became the best of friends. Through the years, we became inseparable, adding Adrian into the mix of our craziness. We spent countless hours in Harry and Karen's basement. We would all pile into that small computer room, haul up in her bedroom for sleepovers that lasted all weekend, or take over the rec room to coordinate dance routines for the school dance. Very she's all that of us. Usher's song, Yeah, will forever be my Lonnie anthem. It brings me back to those hours spent in that basement and all the memories that bloom from that. Sorry to Jared and Chad for the amount of times he had to listen to that song. Lonnie was always up for a laugh. She had more guts than all of us combined. The phrase, oh, Lonbon, became a natural response to explain a lot of our shenanigans. People often say I was a ringleader to our circus, but I think that was yet another thing that drew me to Lonnie. She was a motivator, an instigator. She was our woman, and no one was going to change or dictate what she said or did. She was empowering to be around, Miss Independent. Speaking of being empowering, LeBeau was our protector in many ways. As we were reminiscing about our memories of Lan, one of the girls talked about how she had given a guy her number in university, but really wasn't sure what she was thinking. This guy kept calling, and she kept screening his calls, ghosting before it was a term. One night, Lan saw the number pop up on her friend's cell and grabbed it to answer, much to her friend's dismay. Little did this guy know, Tonta Tina was about to answer the phone. Hello? Who's calling? This is Tina. Tonta Tina. You want who? You have the wrong number. He never called again. Another one of our friends was seeing this guy who she decided wasn't a good fit, but she didn't have the heart to tell him why. So Lonnie conducted an intervention. Lon and another one of the girls hid him under a blanket at a party and invited her friend into the room to have a girls' chat. They asked her what she thought about him. I don't want to beat around the bush, but he found out her true thoughts, and they both moved on, and we still laugh about this moment to this day. Not only was she protective, empowering, and hilarious in her crazy way, but she had a way of making people feel alive. The energy she brought to the room was so attractive, you wanted to be in on whatever she was doing. I was able to work with Lonbon as a healthcare aide at Salem on occasion. I strive to provide the care and love to each of my residents or patients the way that she did. She brought life to that care home, making women feel like one of the girls. She would bring in her personal nail polish, do their nails, brush and do their hair, massage their hands and feet with lotion, helping each one feel seen and important in their own way, all while laughing and joking with the residents. I've changed names, so don't worry. Oba Mary, your hair, it's a nest. Let's take you to my spa for the day and get you freshened up. When I was finished, she would nudge the shoulder, saying, "Now don't you let Mr. Reimer catch you. You're too good for him." They would always laugh and have a twinkle in their eye. Last time Lon and I hung out, she came down to my place. She walked up my front steps wearing her big fur coat, wearing her pearls and fake Chanel earrings that she loved so much, carrying her Gucci bag filled with her trinkets. We talked about life, about God, about her journey with mental health. She nicknamed me her Blue Angel that day, and I told her she couldn't call me that because it stood for something else. It stuck anyways. In her very Lonnie way, she said, "Well, we all knew I was a little crazy in our school. At least now we have a name for it." She shared her passions, her desires, her goals in life. She was dreaming of moving to Kelowna. She was going to make her dream her reality, no matter what it took. We all know Lon was very motivated to get what she wanted. She moved mountains when I couldn't even get up the hill sometimes. So here's to you, Lonnie, Lon Bon, Lan, Margaret, LJ, LeBeau, whatever name you had for her. Know you are loved. Your passion and laugh was contagious, and us girls will forever be grateful for all the memories we have with you. Can't wait to meet the bougiest gal in heaven when we meet again.
It seems like all of our stories are matching up. Lonnie was a very open person, so I feel like my speech is like gonna tie together lots of these speeches here, but I hope you liked her impression of Lonnie, because I also have one as well. Okay. For those of you who don't know me, I am Julia Blaze. Lonnie was one of my best friends growing up, but she wasn't just a friend to me. She was more like a cousin or a sister. Just ask Harry and Karen. I pretty much slept at their house 3 nights a week, often joined in on their family dinners, and they would make a special meal for me. And I even traveled with the family on their weekend road trips for Chad's hockey tournaments. I hope that I can give you all a little sneak peek into my life with Lonnie in hopes that it will bring a little laughter and light as we celebrate who she was today, because I know that's what she would want to be hearing on this day. I first met Lonnie during a volleyball tournament in junior high, Cooley girls versus Winkler girls. But she would always come chat with our team before and after games, and we always just gravitated towards each other. And if you knew Lonnie, you would understand this. It was just impossible not to love her. And then in grade 9, we ended up being in the same classes and quickly became stuck together like glue along with the rest of our girl gang. From school dances to weekend camping trips, we were all creating lifelong memories together and supporting each other through life's ups and downs. When I recently started digging through old photos, it made me remember all of our good times, but also reminded me of how often Lonnie would change up her hairstyles. She was never afraid to spice things up. One specific day, Lonnie asked me to dye her hair like Ginger Spice from the Spice Girls, with chunky blonde pieces in the front and bright red in the back. So we finished our shifts at Walmart, grabbed some hair dye, and headed back to the Fehr's house for a night of snacks, shows, and to play hairdresser. Karen had asked what we were doing, and Lonnie told her we were going to try something new with her hair. I saw the worry on Karen's face. But as we covered her hair in store-bought dye and hoped for the best, Lonnie was waving my hair just like this, along with tons and tons of hairspray. As we were living our best lives in the basement, Jerry would walk by us and just say, "What are you girls doing with your hair now?" We just laughed and continued watching One Tree Hill and eating our chips. Then we heard Harry call down to us, "Girls, where's my Doritos?" Oops, we had finished the bag. This was not good. Harry loved his Doritos and Pepsi in the evenings. And then we heard Karen call down, "Girls, did you take my hairspray again? I need it." We had indeed taken her hairspray, and Lon had used the entire can on my now crunchy, wavy head. Sorry about that, Harry and Karen, but I hope I made Lonnie proud today with my hair. I didn't dye it like Ginger Spice, but I did my best to wave it Lonnie style. Some of my memories that came back to me was when I was looking through photos and was on our trip to Europe in grade 12. We went on a 2-week trip exploring France, Switzerland, and Italy with our French class. One night in Italy, me and Lonnie and our friend Reba were in a hotel room together, and it had a little balcony overlooking the busy streets of Rome. It didn't take long before Lonnie had captured the attention of some Italian boys on the street. We were supposed to be sleeping at this time, so we were trying to be quiet, but Lonnie had an idea of writing a note and throwing it down to them. So she writes a note, not even knowing if they know English. She writes a note and throws it down, but the wind caught it and blew it back onto the balcony underneath us, which happened to be our French teacher's room. We knew she would know it was from our room, so we had to find a way to get that note back before Miss Miller found it, before we were all hotel grounded in Europe. Lonnie, being the little clever girl that she was, decided to go down to Miss Miller's hotel room and ask to talk to her. So they were there talking, and she was looking around her hotel room, basically telling her she was homesick for a reason to talk to Miss Miller, and she eventually made her way to the balcony, which we were watching from above. We saw her scoop up the note, and she quickly came back to our room. The note was never to be seen by our French teacher. So thank you, Lonnie, for saving the day that day, and sorry, Miss Miller, if you're here. We promise we behave the rest of that trip. Then a couple years after high school, we got an apartment in Winnipeg together, where Lonnie was nursing and I was in business school with Chad. We would wake up and get ready for our days together, make dinner plans and weekend plans, and we were truly living our best lives. I would come home from a long day of school and bus rides, and there Lonnie would be cleaning. And then she would say to me in her Lonnie voice, "Are you ready?" "Oh, hi! How you doing there, babe? Should we go to KFC and get some shocking for dinner and then maybe go for a little dip in the pool tonight?" Did I do it right? I feel like that sounded like her. I couldn't do a speech for Lonnie and not do an impression of her. In those days, I was often buckled down studying or working on projects for school. I remember there was a big marketing project and presentation due at the end of the school year. Me and Chad were in the same group, and were both chosen to do a final presentation together. So presentation day came. I woke up early and remember telling Lonnie I felt off, and she just continued to hug me and lighten the mood. When I got to school that day, me and Chad prepared for our speech and waited for our call time. But I had received a devastating call. My mom had suddenly passed away, and I was in complete shock. But before I knew it, Lonnie and Alex were there at my school to pick me up and bring me back to Winkler to see my family. And Chad had quickly grabbed my notes and took on the presentation by himself. Karen had called me with condolences and was, sorry, I can't see through my tears. Condolences and was prepping meals for me and my dad and my sister already. In that moment, I was reminded that they were my family too. They were also quick to take on extra stress and cancel plans to help me go through the pain that day. And I'm pretty sure we actually won first place in that marketing competition, didn't we? I think we did. So thanks, Chad. Then one day, I get a little text from an old crush. He wanted to drive from Edmonton to Winnipeg that evening to come see me. I was very unsure about it. It sounded weird. I hadn't seen him in over 2 years. But Lonnie was quick to say yes for me and agreed to go with me to meet up with him that night. So we spent the night at the tavern with this guy and his friend and ended up back at our apartment, and we were making them scrambled eggs and bacon at 2 in the morning. Now, it just so happens that this guy is here with me today and is my husband of 10 years this year. So thank you, Lonnie, for giving me that push to say yes that day. Fast forwarding to 2 summers ago, Lonnie had just recently come back to Winkler, and we decided to go for a picnic and hike in the hills together. It was such a fun day. We talked about everything from future goals to life struggles and everything in between. We laughed, and we were both just truly happy to reconnect again. She started spending a lot of time with my kids and would spend hours showing and teaching Livy cartwheels and splits and all other gymnastics tricks. So maybe Lonnie is the reason that my daughter is now in competitive gymnastics, and I know she would be so proud to hear that. But Lonnie never liked to stay still for too long. You never knew where she would be traveling to the next week. She was spontaneous and independent and was always looking for her next adventure. But to me and to many of us, she was just that. She was my adventure. She was our adventure. She always filled the room with love and laughter, and there was never a dull moment when she was there. I'm so blessed that God gifted me a friend like her in my life. She is someone I will never, ever forget. Harry and Karen and Jerry and Chad. I wish we had the chance to bring her back for one last laugh and one last Lonnie adventure. But I know she will be so happy and loving her newest adventure, waiting for all of us to one day join her and meet again. I know I can't take away the heartache and sadness right now, but I forgot the bag in my car. But what I can do is give you my love and support, and also give you back some Doritos and hairspray. I love you guys, and I will always feel like a part of the Fehr family. Thank you.
Thank you for painting the most beautiful picture of Lonnie this afternoon. You gave us such a beautiful image of who she was, of how much she meant to you, and of the depth of love that you shared together. I know that Lonnie's family will cling to the assurance of that love. They'll also cling to the assurance that Lonnie is in the presence of the Lord, and she's finally free from the struggles that she dealt with. She's experiencing the peace and the freedom and the joy that nothing on earth could possibly offer. This afternoon, I want to spend a little bit of time telling you about the Jesus that offers you that same peace and freedom and joy, and the promise that you don't have to wait until you get to heaven to experience it. In John chapter 11, we have this beautiful story of the death of one of Jesus' closest friends, Lazarus. It says this: Now a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. This Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sisters sent word to Jesus, Lord, the one you love is sick. When he heard this, Jesus said, This sickness will not end in death. No, it's for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was for 2 more days. And then he said to the disciples, Let's go back to Judea. And on his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in their loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had just been there, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask. Jesus said to her, Your brother will rise again. Martha answered, I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. And Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. And the one who believes in me will live even though they die, and whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this? Yes, Lord, she replied. I believe that you're the Messiah, the Son of God who's come into the world. After she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary aside. The teacher is here, she said, and is asking for you. When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not yet entered the village, but was still in the place where Martha had met him. When the Jews who had been with Mary in the house, comforting her, noticed how quickly she got up and went out, they followed her, supposing she was going to the tomb to mourn there. When Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, "Lord, if you had just been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. "Where have you laid him?" he said. "Come and see, Lord," they replied. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, "See how he loved him." In John 11, the Bible tells a story about a funeral of a man who had been one of Jesus' closest friends, Lazarus. Any of us who have been in that type of situation can immediately relate to the anguish that Mary and Martha felt after the death of their brother Lazarus. All signs indicate that they were a very close family. And then Lazarus gets sick, seriously sick, something that they can't seem to do anything about, and not for lack of trying. They probably felt hopeless, helpless, unable to effect the kind of change that they hoped for. But they had this one last hope: Jesus. He's been pulling off these incredible miracles. If only they could find him, maybe he could change the inevitable. At first, Martha and Mary thought they might be able to reach Jesus in time. After all, he was just across the river. And so they sent word to him that Lazarus was ill. Since Mary and Martha and Lazarus were three of Jesus' best friends, the sisters were confident that Jesus would come right away to help. But he didn't. He waited 2 whole days before he set out for Bethany. And by the time he had arrived, Lazarus had been dead for 4 days. Martha heard that Jesus was on his way and ran to pour out her heart to him. "Lord, if you had just been here, my brother would not have died." Words that Mary would repeat verbatim just a couple of verses later. They end up blaming Jesus for not being there on time. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? If he had only been there, maybe Lazarus could have been saved. As human beings, sometimes our response to something so tragic like this is to blame God for death. Maybe not out loud, but I think the questions are there floating around inside of us. Lord, why? If you had just been there, if you had just been there, if only. Is it wrong to ask these kinds of questions? I don't think so. Jesus didn't think so. Jesus got the exact same questions, twice, back to back, and didn't even flinch. Those of us who have a real relationship with Jesus have learned that it's never wrong to question. Questions and doubts are never, ever toxic to faith. God is big, big enough for all of our worries and questions and anger and fear. And you don't need to feel guilty for wondering why God didn't prevent Lonnie's death. Although God is all-powerful, and although God is so good, God is not us, and we are not God. It's also not wrong to ask, what more could we have done? Where were we? Where was I? If I had only. In these moments like this, we always ask these types of questions. Where was God? Where was I? When Martha and Jesus began to talk, he said to her, "Your brother will rise again." She thought he was referring to resurrection on the last day. But Jesus was actually proclaiming something new and radically different than that. He said to Martha the most extraordinary words. He looks her square in the eyes and he says, "I am the resurrection, and the life. And those who believe in me, even though they die, will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Martha had understood resurrection as something that happens in the future, some other time, some other place. But Jesus was explaining it as something that happens right now. In Jesus' presence, resurrection and life are always possible. Those who believe and trust in him will never die, no matter what becomes of their bodies, no matter how tragic the circumstances surrounding their death, because he is one with the source and the sustainer of life. This must have been so difficult for Martha to begin to grasp in the midst of her overwhelming grief. Yet, she didn't hesitate to respond to Jesus' question when he asks her, "Do you believe?" "Yes, Lord," she said. "I believe you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one coming into the world." Martha went to tell her sister about Jesus' arrival, and Mary ran to him, weeping, along with all the mourners who had come to console them. The text says that as he watched Mary and the others pouring out their hearts, he was greatly disturbed in spirit and deeply moved. He asked where they laid Lazarus, and they replied, "Lord, come and see." This is a gut-wrenching depiction of Jesus' own emotions and Jesus' own humanity. No other stories in all of John's gospel have anything close to this. To say he was greatly disturbed in spirit and deeply moved doesn't even do it justice. Jesus shuddered. He was angry. He was agitated. He was moved. It was a whole body experience. For Jesus to be fully human, he had to have experienced grief for the loss of his friend Lazarus and for the sadness of Mary and Martha. Grief for the frailty of life as we know it and the randomness with which it is so easily snuffed out. What I find so interesting about this story is how Jesus responded to the death of his close friend. When Jesus came to the grave, he could have said something extremely profound. He could have said something nice. He could have said something comforting. But there's no sermon, no powerful observations. Instead, in the shortest verse that the Bible has to offer, it tells us only what Jesus did. He wept. He weeps without embarrassment and without apology. And those standing nearby said, "See how much he loved him." Where was Jesus when Lonnie died? What did he do? I think Jesus wept. And I don't think that there's any degree of difference between how Jesus loved Lazarus and how Jesus loved Lonnie. Jesus wept over the sickness of disease that ended his friend's life. And I believe without a shadow of a doubt that Jesus wept over the struggles that took Lonnie's life. I think Jesus wept because he knew it's not supposed to be this way. For Lazarus, for Lonnie, for us. Lonnie was beautiful and sweet, and she cared far more about others than she ever did about herself. She was described by nearly every person as someone who just lights up the room. Her personality, as we heard already, was infectious. She brought out the best in other people. She found sports and gymnastics easy. She loved life. She loved family. She loved people. So much so, we already heard that she became a nurse so that she could help people daily. She didn't take things for granted, and she appreciated every little thing that came her way. One of Lonnie's favorite lines, one that she used often, was, "The Lord has come through for me again." And he did. and he does for us too. No matter how Lonnie struggled, it cannot touch the true part of her. It never did, it never could. There were things that she battled with, but it wasn't who she was. We heard this afternoon who Lonnie was. One of the last devotionals that Lonnie read, and which was marked in her devotional, was John 14, 1-3, where it says, "Don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God and trust also in me. There is more than enough room in my Father's home. If this were not so, I would have told you that I'm going to prepare a place for you. When everything is ready, I will come and get you, so that you will always be with me where I am." Friends, don't let your hearts be troubled. Maybe that is where our comfort lies today. Don't let your hearts be troubled, because on the other side of this life, there's another, one that Lonnie knew, and one that she put her hope and her trust in. She trusted that one day, God would take away the struggles that she carried and would take her home to a place where there is no more suffering, where there is freedom and life and release from all of the things that weigh us down. Harry and Karen, Jared and Chad, Tanner and Che, your lives have changed in a dramatic way. And while I believe with the Apostle Paul that nothing, not even death, can separate us from the love of God, that doesn't erase the fact that death does separate us from the ones that we love. That's the painful part of having loved and shared this journey. If you had not loved so intently, there would be no need for tears. You grieve because of the intensity of your love for Lonnie. And this God who weeps with us also walks with us. The one who walked with Lonnie every single day of her life is the same one that will also walk with you as you navigate this journey. This same God also promises to walk with each and every one of you, no matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, no matter what is in your present, in your past, your future. God dreams things for you, has plans, has purposes, and it is never, ever, ever too late to grasp hold of the free and the full life that God offers for each and every one of us. Would you join me in prayer? Dear God, grant us the peace that we need as we face this road ahead. May this peace that you offer that passes understanding fill the hearts and minds of everyone here, but especially Harry and Karen and Jared and Chad. Also the whole extended family who are grieving this loss. Lonnie's friends, the people who she held close. Sustain us all in the days and the weeks and the months to come. God in heaven, you are the author of time and life, and we give Lonnie into your loving care for all of eternity. We pray this in the strong name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. At this time, I would invite you to stand as we sing together to the river. I understand that Lonnie used to belt this song out with her friend Alex as they drove round and round Winkler in her Honda Civ. So would you stand and let's sing it together.
To the river I am going, bringing sins I cannot bear. Come and cleanse me, longs to meet you there. He is calling, he is waiting. Jesus longs to meet you there. Precious Jesus, I am ready to surrender every care. Take my hand now, lead me closer. Lord, I need to meet you there.
Take my hand now, lead me closer. Lord, I need to meet you there.
A few announcements here. If you'd like to make a memorial donation on behalf of Lonnie, you can do so right outside of the sanctuary here, either to Eden Foundation or to Shared Health, designated to mental health and addictions programs. Immediately following the benediction, the family is going to walk out and do a balloon release outside in the front of our church to celebrate Lonnie and her memory. And anyone who would like to join outside, please do. The rest of you, you can stay seated, and the ushers will simply guide you into the reception hall for a reception lunch afterwards. When we're done outside releasing balloons, you can find a place wherever you'd like in the fellowship hall. Would you join me in prayer? God, we ask for your presence around our tables this afternoon as we continue to share stories about all of the ways that Lonnie impacted our lives. We pray for your peace that surpasses all understanding. We ask for your presence. We ask that it would sustain Harry and Karen, Jared and Chad, not only today, but these stories and memories would sustain them each and every day. God, thank you for this time together. Thank you for the food that has been prepared. Would you bless it and our conversations this afternoon? Amen. May God bless you and keep you. May the very face of God shine on you and be gracious to you. May God's presence embrace you and give you peace. Amen.